Well, the beloved and best-selling Harry Potter series is apparently now triggering students. The University of Glasgow is issuing a warning to its students about the dangerous, toxic and confronting content they might encounter if they choose to read Harry Potter. And let's cross live to London now, where I'm joined by Spiked Online editor Tom Slater. Tom, thanks for your time. So why is the university doing this, and has this got to do with J.K. Rowling?
I don't know if I've got a good answer to that, Sharri. It seems like this is one in a number of children's books that have been slapped with these warnings. In the case of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, apparently it explores outdated attitudes, abuse, and language. There's also Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland and various other books that have been swept up in this. So I don't necessarily think it's a backlash to J.K. Rowling's very public views on the gender issue. But I think it's just part of that broader trend that we can't just seem to shake in this country and across the West, which is treating students like children, effectively. I mean, when Harry Potter first came out for children, it didn't have these warnings on it. Yet apparently people north of the age of 18 going to one of the country's most esteemed universities require this kind of advisory warning. So it's a sad state of affairs, but something we've become quite accustomed to, I dare say.
Yeah, just gone too far, that's for sure. Now, it looks like Iceland has become the fifth country to pull out of Eurovision next year. This is in protest at Israel's participation. So it's now Spain, Ireland, Slovenia and the Netherlands. I mean, Tom, thousands of Israelis were murdered on October 7, yet somehow Israel is to blame and Israel is the enemy and it can't participate in a song and dance contest.
That's exactly right, Sharri. I mean, in the wake of October the 7th, in any reasonable moral universe, everyone would have responded, whether they're in the arts world or not, in solidarity with standing by the Jewish state as it was attacked by these genocidal terrorists. The fact that the exact opposite has happened, that you have had the great and good, not just within Eurovision, but across the kind of arts sector and politics, paint Israel as the villain, side with their enemies, and launch what is in effect a deeply, let's face it, not just anti-Israel, but kind of anti-Semitic campaign. And it's worth saying that where Eurovision is concerned, the protests and the calls to kick Israel out of the competition long preceded the war in Gaza. I mean, when they actually hosted the competition a few years ago, there was widespread condemnation. There was calls for boycotts, there was protests and all the rest of it. So anyone who thinks this is purely about how the IDF may or may not have conducted itself over the course of the past couple of years is lying to themselves. This has always been about that fundamental double standard, that bigoted double standard where Israel was concerned. And it's just depressing that so many people are mindlessly going along with it.
I actually didn't realise that campaign started before October 7 because it's just gained so much momentum that now all these countries are saying they will boycott Eurovision altogether. I want to ask you about this move by the US today. The US seized an oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela. The Attorney General said that the vessel was used to transport sanctioned oil from Venezuela and Iran. And Donald Trump spoke about it. Have a look.
You see the result, and I guess they probably have released the pictures by now, or pretty soon. You'll discuss that with the appropriate people later on, but no, it was seized for a very good reason.
I mean, Tom, this seems like major action on drug cartels as well.
No, exactly. That seems to be the story that the Trump administration is telling, is that they are putting pressure on Nicolas Maduro's dictatorial regime in Venezuela because they've become a key player in funneling narcotics and drugs into the United States. The argument from the Venezuelan side is that this is basically about oil and regime change. And I dare say this particular kind of seizure will help service that narrative to a certain extent. It's not entirely clear where the chips are going to fall here. It's also not entirely clear how far the Trump administration is willing to go in order to secure its aims. But it's one of those things where, given all of our attention has been on Ukraine and to a lesser extent in recent weeks, Israel, this key kind of part of American foreign policy in relation to its near neighbours is something that a lot of us are going to have to start paying a lot more attention to, because it's really only going in one direction towards a lot more escalation, it seems like, in terms of these tensions.
Look, just back to the UK, there's been a massive issue of the erosion of free speech, police cracking down on free speech, outrageous cases. You've written a new article about this. You're saying that it's enough with the punishment of people for no other crime than speaking their mind. What are some of the newer cases that you've uncovered?
So one of the really striking stories in the news in the UK this week is a gentleman called Jamie Michael. He was a former Royal Marine. He was arrested in the wake of the Southport riots last year for posting a video onto Facebook in which he sort of railed against illegal migration, disavowed violence, but called for the issue to be gotten a hold of. He infamously was held on remand for 17 days and then acquitted by a jury of his peers in 17 minutes. So became, to many people's minds, kind of one of those key cases of overreach in relation to speech crime in the wake of the Southport attacks and the riots that followed. And it's just picking up on the fact that he continues to be punished for it. So the new development is that he's been banned from coaching his daughter's football team. In his youth, he was a very good footballer and apprentice at Manchester United, because the local safeguarding board, so-called, have decided that he's not suitable to work with children. This is despite the fact that he was cleared on all charges. So the punishment continues even after the acquittal takes place now.
Very concerning trend, and good on you for taking it up. Tom Slater, thank you very much for your time as always.